Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast, and a celebration of a podcast.
Oh yeah, it's time to celebrate. It's time to party out there. I need everybody. If you're driving in your car, you got your Starbucks or your coffee cup. I need you to get that on tap. If you're at home, you got the kids with you, go get you a bottle of apple juice and fill up a couple glasses. Or if you're not listening in the morning, if you're listening a little bit later in the day, go ahead and get that bottle on out there and turn that joker up, because we're going to have some fun today.
Absolutely. So welcome to episode 100 of the Bookers Alliance podcast.
Centennial episode. We have made it 100 episodes. How many startups make it 100 episodes?
I don't know of too many. I think we're in rare air, sir.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting there with the big timers now. You know, we're not the everyday podcast just yet. So, you know, when we start giving you 5 days a week, 7 days a week, that'll be something a little different. But right now, for 100 episodes, I think we're doing pretty damn good for ourselves.
So let's open this episode up today with our sponsor.
All right.
We got Henry McKenna Bottle and Bond.
Okay.
Very good tasting bourbon. Very elusive bourbon as of late.
Yeah.
Hard to find.
I mean, but it's special, you know, so you got it. We told them it was the 100th episode, and they said, you know what, we got something for you. So tell the fans out there why this is special for the 100th episode.
Aged 10 years. It was bottled in 2012, and here we are in 2024 cracking it open.
All right. And what's the proof on it?
100 proof.
100 proof, 100 episodes.
That's it.
That's one proof per episode, y'all. Now, so all of y'all slow drinkers, all y'all out there that really can't handle it, you just have one proof and you start with us for the next 100 episodes.
Here we go. So that brings us to our title. Here's to 100 more, sir.
Cheers to 100 more.
Cheers.
All right.
Oh,
nice.
Good Kentucky bourbon.
That's nice.
That's some good stuff. Good, beautiful whiskey for a great podcast.
Oh yeah, what a good celebration day. First let's put out the disclaimer. Everybody who's tuning in and y'all are real geared up to find out what's going on in the wrestling world and what happened on Raw and what's coming on Dynamite and what. This ain't gonna be the episode for you.
No, that's not gonna be it today.
Yeah, we gonna take today to celebrate ourselves today. We've been doing this for a while. We've been through ups and downs, what are they, ebbs and flows, they call it. We done changed a lot of stuff. We want to celebrate all this. I mean, this was a hard road travel.
So let's talk about some things, kind of open the discussion. What episode did we start on? Where did we start?
I know exactly where. WWE is up for sale.
Up for sale.
What in the what? Looking back at it now, I mean, God, that feels like ancient times. I mean, we've only been doing this for less than 2 calendar years, but I mean, that feels like that was eons ago at this point. WWE up for sale. Privately owned company, publicly traded, up for sale. What?
Yep. And to the fact of, you know, it was a very heated topic. Now, granted, it might not have been heated between me and old Frank here. You know, we've had some heaters. Some heaters, you know. But I think we were more concerned with, you know, we've been lifelong wrestling fans.
Yeah.
We were more concerned with, you know, our fandom and what was changing. How it was going to impact us.
Exactly. Right? I mean, think about this. We started it. WWE is up for sale. You know, we didn't know what was going to happen when we started recording way back in January of 23. We didn't know how the outcome was going to, but we just knew that was the hottest rumor going was WWE was up for sale. Now, look, 100 episodes later, Raw is now moved to Netflix. Raw is going to be on a streaming service away from its home of USA for
30 years.
Yeah, short of a little stint on the Nashville network, TNN.
TNN.
Yeah, they did a little stint there. They
sci-fi here and there.
Exactly.
Spike TV too.
Yeah, TNN turned to Spike. So
TV.
yeah, they did TNN for a minute. That was kind of like when they were separated with their wife and they kind of found a little girlfriend and dated.
Side
Then
piece.
realized they didn't really like it, so they went back home and amended the marriage. And, SmackDown has been from USA to Fox, back to USA in the time.
To UPN to.
Well, that's NXT. NXT's moving over to the CW. I mean, there's been a lot of shaking going on since we started our first episode to now. And it started off with the sale, and good Lord, I mean, we've covered every base almost.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a little inside baseball with you guys this week, and just kind of let you know why did Marky Mark and Frank start this podcast, and really. It was just out of sheer love of the business and just being fans of pro wrestling. And, we would meet up and have a discussion on a front porch or a weekend night or a garage project, and we'd be just chatting about wrestling.
Usually with one of our sponsors, just before we knew they were our sponsor, usually with a sponsor flowing.
So just chatting it up, and then we just kind of said, wouldn't it be neat just to put this down for record one day?
Yeah, I mean, share it with the world, right?
Exactly.
So this is really like episode 300 for you guys who aren't sure. I mean, hell, because we had 200 in the can long before we ever pressed record. I mean, good Lord. Like I said, them conversations, it would start off one thing like, hey, did you happen to see SmackDown the other day? Yeah, I saw SmackDown the other day. What about it? Well, here's what I thought coming out of it. And then we've got to see that we had similar takes on some things. I'm like, hey, this guy sees wrestling just like I see. Then we had some completely opposite takes on some things. And I'm like, wait a minute. I knew he had tried to argue me down on this wrestling thing. I got to come back with something. I got to go do my research now. I got to go get prepared. And that turned into, well, good Lord, if we can have these kind of discussions off the cuff, what if we actually put some structure behind ourselves? What if we actually tried to set up a topic and discuss, plan for it and discuss it and share it with the world? How would that work? And I mean, man, 100 episodes later, a lot of y'all are still hanging around, so I guess it ain't doing so bad.
And I'm just going to shout out real quick, Germany, we still see you hanging out there. I don't know who you are, but thank you for doing what you do. Much.
And if we do know who you are, send us a line and give us the deets.
Yep. So, like I said, we finally got around to putting this on record. It just came down to a night where I was like, you know what? Let's pull the trigger. Let's make this happen. So we started up, the small little startup, and with the intent, none of us were like, okay, we're going to do this to like get rich quick.
Yeah, that wasn't the intent. Also, we didn't intend to do it for 100 episodes. It was, we were like, well, we'll do it while it's fun, and then when it gets boring, we'll move on to something else. And I mean, not trying to blow smoke up our own asses here, but it hadn't got boring for me not 1 week. I mean,
absolutely not.
The storylines that go on, of course, the sponsors and all, everything that we got going on to set up here hadn't got stagnant or boring to me at all. So, I mean, hell, I definitely got another 100 in me. I might even have another 300 in me. We'll just have to see.
Well, you get a Blue Chew in you can go all night.
Hey, I can go all night long.
Blue Chew sponsored by.
There you go. Give me a Blue Chew and a couple more of our sponsors here. I got another 500 in.
I don't know if those mix, because you know what they call that, right?
Whiskey dick.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, see, that's why we get along so well. We think just alike.
That may or may not be a good thing, though. People who know us personally, we might be real scared to think somebody else is thinking just like that guy. So,
all right, so yeah, we've crossed mountains of topics. We've been all over the place. We looked back through our 100 episode list, and we've crossed from the best tag teams to doing watch-alongs to talking about should the forbidden door be closed. I mean, we've crossed a lot of different topics.
I mean, hell, we've done 2 Wembleys, so we did AEW's first and second international show we've spoke over. We've done 2 WrestleManias now, 2 Royal Rumbles. We got started right before the Royal Rumble of 23. I mean, hell, we got a lot of PLEs and PPVs under our belt here, and then just a lot of outside the ring conversation. I mean, Yeah, quiet as it's kept, we got to, keep it on the low. But hell, we can't even record next week because the whole Mr. McMahon documentary is coming on Netflix. And guys, so we're pre-warning everybody now. Don't look for us next week. We got to halt on next week. We got to take a break.
Yeah, we got to.
We need to watch that whole documentary. And apparently, it's 6 parts, and they're releasing it all at the same time.
Oh well, that's my weekend shot at that point.
Right exactly, and they're releasing it Wednesday on Netflix. All 6 episodes. No way we can get through that and record before Friday morning drop. So we're just going to hold off on next week's episode. We're going to take all that content in. Damn, we're going to have to take notes. We're probably going to have to sit down and compare notes. I mean, there may have to be a PowerPoint presentation at this point. That's going to be a lot of damn topic.
But producer, get the war room ready.
Yeah, hell yeah. We're going to need whiteboards. We're going to need
it all.
Right, dry erase markers, eraser. We're going to need all the equipment because, good Lord, hell, we might have to do a double episode just to go over what all happens in that. We don't know what's coming in it. We didn't get interviewed for it. I don't know why they didn't call us, but they didn't call us for personal interviews, I guess, whatever.
Sometimes, though, when you as plugged in as we are, sometimes.
That's true. They don't want that. They don't want that deep inside information.
Because, we've been known to get deep.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it deep, right?
We'll get deep.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
So,
That's what Liv Morgan
Liv
said.
Morgan. I was just about to say Liv Morgan, sponsor for the week. All right, go ahead and send it because if we got to go, we're going deep.
We're going deep.
Oh, yeah.
Going where no man has gone before.
Somebody's probably been there. That
might have been there.
Yeah, just don't go when I'm there. I mean, hell, speaking of Enzo's been there, so I don't know about all that. What I do know is you can't teach that.
You can't teach that. It's SAWFT.
There you go. I mean, that's what happens when you miss the whiskey with the blue chew. You end up that way. So, you got to be careful.
See, it all comes back full circle.
Exactly. Either that or you get that 4-hour thing that you got to go to the hospital for, and then you're in real trouble.
It's hip holes.
Hell yeah, when they got to pull out that damn needle. Oh no, that's a bad night for me.
No, we ain't talking about no needles now.
Although I'm just thinking, so if they go to do that, wouldn't that kill the vibe anyway? Like, wouldn't the problem that you have for me? That would seem like that would shrivel all that nonsense.
Some people learn some freaky shit. That's all I know.
All right.
Yeah, we way off track.
Yeah, hell, we gonna get canceled on our 100th episode. Hell, maybe we need to pump the brakes a little bit.
See, this is what happens when you go into an episode with no format.
Absolutely. We said we wanted to just have fun. We gonna crack jokes. We gonna laugh with y'all. And damn, we done turned into this topic. Good
Lord. All right, so we kind of talked about Mr. McMahon. So let's pose the question. I want to get Frank's thoughts on this. As a lifetime
Liv Morgan versus Alexa Bliss.
No.
So I mean, I'm thinking
we talk about Mr. McMahon.
Okay, because I was about to tell you. I was going to tell you exactly what my thoughts were on that.
I want to get your thoughts on this. See if we're on the same wavelength. Did you ever think that you would see McMahon not associated with WWE? And if you did think that, what point did you think that would be?
So I never thought of it originally, right? If you go back to that very first episode, I mean, we talked about, they may sell, right? They may definitely sell for the financial gain, blah, blah, blah. But I think in every scenario we pitched that day, it had McMahon either in a creative role or in a CEO role or in no way, shape, or form did we think he would be phased out, right? We saw him involved at some level or another throughout the sale, throughout the transition, throughout the foregone future of the company. We saw him, embedded in there until those damn allegations came out. Yeah. That's the day when I started thinking, you know what? This guy might have to get the hell out of Dodge right now because that ain't going to associate well, especially in the
PG
time
era.
in the time and place that we're living right now. Those kind of allegations,
So, we all kind of thought, if there was ever a day that was to happen where McMahon would not be associated with his brainchild, so to speak, he'd be dead.
Essentially,
he'd be in the grave.
And that's what I thought. I thought that would be the last episode. I thought that's when we would see this whole documentary thing is kind of after he was dead and gone.
Yeah.
Which I guess by WWE standards, that's where he is now.
He's been effectively, as they say in the business, buried.
Absolutely. I mean, literally, damn near figuratively, almost any way you could say. While we're thinking about, the allegations, like, let's just go ahead and didn't he have Puff Daddy perform at a WrestleMania at some point in time?
You know what?
Yeah, because Diddy performed at a WrestleMania, and I heard that they had like the WrestleMania after party. I don't know if we're going to see any of that in this documentary, but let me just say, that shit had to be intertwined somewhere or another. There ain't no way these two guys had these mirror, instances of what was going on and nothing went on.
Well, McMahon has been, seen in a wrestling ring covered in baby oil before. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it only fits the story.
I mean, most wrestlers are wearing it.
Wearing baby oil.
So and that's what they say when you're running out. Just call Diddy. I mean, said you get to the show in Madison Square Garden and you forgot your bottle. Just call Diddy. He got you covered. I mean, go to like CVS or Walgreens. No, hell no, we ain't going there. Just call Diddy.
He's got the good stuff.
Absolutely.
So for y'all don't know what we're talking about by Call Diddy, I'm gonna need y'all just do your own research because
just hit the Google.
We'll definitely get canceled if we go down.
Just hit the Google because I mean, and I mean you can do the same search. Diddy McMahon scandal. You'll figure it out.
That's all you need.
It all come out.
All right. So we talked about McMahon. We've talked about let's give a quick discussion around Triple H. We've seen Triple H, his handiwork before with NXT first gen, the black and gold version, right? We saw what all he could do with Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss. I mean, everybody that we know modern terms basically at this point in time came up through NXT, right?
Somewhere through there. I mean, even Randy Orton, he basically grew up under Triple H. He wasn't in the NXT brand, but he was in a little faction we know called
Evolution is a Mistake.
There you go. So I mean, Batista. If John Cena worked with Triple H early in his career, when they were in the ring, WrestleMania, I was there. That's an episode in the archives. But I mean, everybody that, like you said, is somebody nowadays, one way or another, came through the Triple H, guardrails. And at this point, I'm not surprised. For what he did with NXT, for what he did, over the later part of his career when he was more in that facilitator role of, helping the younger guys get to the next level and not having to be the world champ. You can see the sparks there. You can see the inklings there of, this guy's got something. And to be where he's at now, from where we talked about a year and a half or whatnot ago to today.
Yep.
Basically the top dog in WWE. Whew.
So here's the way I look at Triple H. And so since we're going to do a little inside baseball today, we've talked about on the podcast, go back in the archive, what made you become a fan. We've talked about that before. So
that's definitely in the archives. Look them up.
Yep. So when you think about though, Triple H style, what we grew up on, cut our teeth on, you grew up predominantly with WWE. Mm-hmm. I grew up predominantly in the South with NWA, WCW.
Yep.
So knowing what we know about McMahon and his booking style and his creative and Pritchard and all of those guys, right? Yep. And then knowing what we know about Dusty and how Dusty would book things when he was a booker.
Kevin Sullivan, Eric Bischoff, things like that, right? When you look at Triple H, do you see elements of all those guys? He's the perfect combination of the two.
Exactly.
Because he worked in both. He started in WCW and he didn't like what he saw. He was like, ooh, gotta get out of this mold or whatnot. But he was smart enough to take the elements of WCW that worked away. Because WWE at the time, they were the entertainment company. They were sports entertainment. But NWA, WCW was wrestling, pro wrestling. So Triple H said, hey, you know what? Dusty was an intricate part of that. Let's get him. Bring him in. Terry Taylor, intricate part of that operation. Let's bring him in. Vince said, hey, what about John Laurinaitis? He's entertaining. Let's bring him in. Didn't necessarily work out the same way.
But he brought him in, but more than one place.
Yeah, apparently so. I mean, and then he got, he got married to a Bella's mom. And Now the Bella's got drama going on. And, man, there's a lot of drama going on in the back ends of wrestling here. And no, I didn't mean anything by saying back end. That's just where it's happening at right now.
But though, some of the storylines that we've watched over the years, the drama that's happened backstage has bled into the drama in the ring, which, it might not have been the best for the performers, but us fans,
it makes for great story.
Great stories.
I mean, let's think back to long before the Booker's Alliance podcast started, when the Matt Hardy Edge Lita saga was going on. Crazy ridiculous to have to deal with that if you're the people involved, right? Yep. If you're Matt and your heart's broken and you've been basically made a fool of on national TV and all the dirt sheets and all that by Edge and Lita, the last thing you want to do is work with these fuckers. You want to kill these fuckers, right? I mean, you want to murder them dead, as they say. But Vince took the entertainment aspect of it, because they had fired Matt. They got rid of Matt.
Yep.
And the fans made them bring Matt back because they wouldn't stop chanting for him in those arenas. They said, there ain't no way we ain't getting this story played out on TV. We got to see how this ends. Yep. So, Vince had the foresight to say, hey, there's a lot of money to be made right here, guys. Are y'all businessmen or are y'all emotional beings here? And you got to stop and look. And I mean, that carries over all the way till today. You take, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, for instance, on today's, on today's date. Don't necessarily care for each other in the real world, right?
Yep.
But somebody along the way, Triple H, hint, hint, said, hey, are we businessmen or are we, girly men? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
We're here to make a lot of money, right? So here's a good way to make a lot of money if you just bite this little old bullet that you got from 15 years ago.
And I truly believe that, pulling back the curtain, there is some real beef between Drew and CM Punk. There's some real beef there, because
you can see they ain't besties.
Well, I mean, the fact that, did any of those guys know that CM Punk was there before he walked out of the curtain? Yeah, it came out. They were informed right before they walked out the curtain themselves to their match.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, CM Punk's here. He's going to make an entrance at the end.
Yeah, but they didn't know he was going to upstage him.
They didn't know any of that's coming. And then what happened? Drew McIntyre flew off the handle mad and just left the building in his ring gear.
Yeah, he stormed out of the
building. He didn't even shower. He just left the building. He stormed out of it. And Seth had a tirade right there on the arena floor. It had to be held back by Michael Cole, of all people. Yep.
Who, outwardly, while cameras were recording, outwardly told
Michael Cole? But if you peel back the curtain, if you really look at it, Michael Cole, he's part of talent relations.
Exactly. And I was going to say, on camera and on record, Michael Cole said, where everybody could hear, hey, you don't want to get suspended. You don't want to hurt your pockets over there.
Yep.
At the end of the day, are we businessmen or are we, we emotional? We're businessmen. So when a guy like Michael Cole says, hey, you don't want to hurt your pockets here, be it kayfabe, be it shoot, that's damn shoot. Hell, because if you blow this angle, we can't make a lot of money off of it. There's a lot of money to be made. Let's get paid, guys.
Until CM Punk got hurt, it was dressing up as CM Punk versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Oh, 100%.
It was coming. I mean,
definitely covered that in the archives. We predicted that as soon as CM Punk came out. I think the very next episode we recorded was, they'll be wrestling for that world title at WrestleMania.
And I still think we get that, and it might not be for the belt, but we get that match.
Yeah, it'll definitely get there one way or the other.
So let's talk about some other things though, that's carried us through this podcast. There's been days where we've come in to record the podcast and we've gone, you got anything to talk about? No, you got anything to talk about?
I mean, nope. So that first year was, and for our longtime listeners, if you remember, we were going every 5 days back then. We weren't even doing the once. We had no structure. We had so much in our brains to put out on record that we were like, damn, let's just get it all out there. Hell, if we could have, we probably would have recorded all 52 episodes of that year on the first week.
Probably.
It was sat down and done 10 episodes a day. But, as same thing with when you're mixing your Blue Chew and your whiskey there, you don't want to shoot your load all at once, right? So you got to hold back a little bit. You got to relax and say, damn, we're putting out a lot of content. We're running out of time every month by the end of the month. And now we're, sitting on our hands like, well, we've got 7-8 topics in our brains and don't got no time to record on. So we had to change our recording style. We had to change our output. Hell, we had to increase our time so we could keep up with the demand. You know, we had a shit ton of supply and no demand, so we had to build up a demand. Hell, I like to say there's a lot of speed bumps to go along the way here. I know we sit down and it sounds like we're just having a good time and we're just shooting shit and, drinking whiskey and talking wrestling. And that pretty much is what is going on during the record. So once we hit record, that pretty much is what happens. But hell, the beforehand and then all the producing work and all the editing you guys do on, because I'm just talent. I've said this before on the show. I don't know any of the technical work.
Hold on. We can't say you just talent.
I'm just talent.
No, you can't say you just talent.
I'm the color commentator, but not because I'm a person of color. I knew that would pop.
No,
I knew that would pop.
You're not just talent. You are the man, the myth, the legend, sir.
Well, I mean, I'm a creator. I'm a creative force here. Definitely that. But I mean, the behind the stuff, we got to give credit to our team, right?
Absolutely.
Can't just say, hey, it's the Booker's Alliance, Marky Mark and Frank Donald. We just sit down, knock it out, and it's gone. It's the 100th episode. We're going to celebrate our production crew.
So let's give everybody a round of applause.
Absolutely.
Round of applause.
Appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all. Just remember, I'm the talent. So when you guys get them big heads later, like, oh yeah, I'm the producer, I'm the editor, I'm doing all this stuff. Just remember who the talent is here, guys. Just keep that in mind. I get the big contracts, okay?
he gets the Dak Prescott deal.
Exactly. I ride around in the big cars. I do the shows. I'm out. When they send the media passes, those come in my name. All that good stuff. I do all that. Y'all do all the work to make me shine. I appreciate that, but the shine still comes to the talent.
All right, so let's talk about another topic that we've had. I don't want to say that we've had good discussion on. I want to say that we've tried to be helpful in our discussions. Another company called AEW.
Oh hell!
So let's talk about this for a minute.
Us, much like AEW, is treading water when we have to delve into those discussions. So those are some of our lower tier podcasts, I feel. Now, like you said, there have been some where they had a banger and, we came with a whole lot of information like, man, if you guys would just tweak this and, turn that and do this would be top tier. They listened to none of it. They went the complete opposite direction of it, and they're suffering with fan views because of it.
So let me bring that up for a hot minute. So there's not a podcast out there today that is non-AEW branded that is not bending over backwards to give this company advice, suggestions, in the right moments, giving them praise. It's not all doom and gloom.
No,
there's
definitely
bright
not.
spots in there.
Yeah.
So
the brightest spot is their owner is a billionaire. I mean, he can keep that company afloat. They can lose money forever, and he can keep them afloat. He can outlast damn WWE. He can outlast every other territory we've ever seen because he's got the financial means to do so. But that don't make it good damn wrestling.
But you would think, it's somewhere along the line with all of this advice that is freely given to these guys over the airwaves, somebody somewhere would say, hey, you know what? You might want to listen to some of this.
I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast at different intervals of time. He's had Cody Rhodes, Arn Anderson, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Jake the Snake Roberts, Jim Ross,
Tully Blanchard,
Tony Schiavone. He's had Eric Bischoff's been there. He's had a lot of people that have been successful in the wrestling business.
Bret Hart presented the AEW belt.
Yeah, and he's gone back since. And he was just on Raw this past week because he also saw that ship sinking and was like, yep, time to get off of there.
Go back, get my Legends contract.
Point of it is, he's had a lot of great wrestling minds surrounding him the entire time AEW's been in existence. At some point or another, he took a turn and just realized it was his company and he can actually do things the way he wants and doesn't have to take any of those suggestions. And that wasn't a good thing. I mean, the first sign of it was when Cody Rhodes left. Cody flat out said, hey, we've got differences of opinion in the direction of the company, and it's time for me to break apart. And Busted Open talked about this the other day. Without Cody Rhodes, there would be no AEW. Point blank, period.
Agreed.
They started off with the first All In. They did in Hoffman Estates in Illinois, and their goal was to sell 10,000 tickets. without Cody Rhodes' name attached to it, they may have sold the 10,000 tickets, but there ain't no way Tony Khan would have stood in that arena and watched that event and said, you know what? I could take this group of talent and start a second tier promotion right under WWE. No way. But because Cody Rhodes was there, he put that extra oomph on it, that shine that we were just talking about. He put that shine on it that made everybody say, damn, this could be something. And for him to say, I got to get out of here, this ain't working no more, that definitely shows that there was a change in direction. And ever since that change, things have been wonky in AEW land.
So let's talk about this for a minute. WWE, old school WWE, would you say the heart of WWE was Vince McMahon Jr.? Would you
Old school WWE,
Old school
absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Old school WWE, heart was Vince McMahon Jr. Heart of AEW, who would you call that?
It was Cody Rhodes.
It was Cody.
That's
it was
the thing.
Cody.
Yeah.
Now,
how many times did we say, and early onsets of the podcast, I know Cody was gone before we started. So like I said, long before we ever hit record when we had those discussions, how many times did we say Cody should just be the face of the brand?
Yep.
He shouldn't even have been wrestling in the brand. Once he got to that whole I'm never going to wrestle for the title thing, he never should have wrestled again. Because at that point, there ain't no point in having damn Cody Rhodes if he can go wrestle for your main title. He should have been the face of the company. He should have been that placard of I run this company, this is my thing, and they would have kept that heart and they could have kept that momentum.
So let's cross in and follow my analogy, if you will, as Dusty says, if you will. So both companies have had a heart transplant.
Yeah.
So now with the WWE, heart transplant was more than one heart, though.
Yeah,
Vince McMahon.
Bret Hart.
No. Vince. So
Jimmy Hart.
So follow my analogy for a second.
My bad.
So Vince. Everybody said Vince wore so many damn hats. By the time he let go of this company, there's going to have to be multiple people that come in to replace Vince, right?
Yeah.
So there was.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. A team.
You had a team. So you got Triple H coming in there as head creative, but you got Nick Khan handling all the business.
Yeah, he's doing the business work. And then you got Ari Emanuel, who's in charge of the whole thing.
The whole thing.
So he's in what Vince used to be in that role of sure, Nick can do whatever he thinks is necessary. You know, Triple H can do whatever he thinks. The whole team can do whatever they think. But at some point in time, it's all got to run through Ari Emanuel.
The big dog.
And Ari's, educated enough in television and production and things like that to say, that probably ain't going to work. That's going to shit the bed. Let's not do it. Or, hell yeah, you guys are onto something. Run with it. He's able to do that and take that extra pressure off. Even Nick and Triple H, he takes that pressure off of them of having to do the top level stuff because he's got that. Right. TKO's taking care of that top level stuff. That leaves both guys able to do their own jobs. And that's what Vince didn't have. Vince tried to do everybody's job. And when he started wearing down, or when he had outside interests that were apparently keeping him busy, that are now kicking his ass on the back end. But when he was doing that at the time, something would get missed every now and again. So you'd have a rewrite 15 minutes before the show took air, and then it turned out the show was crap. You're like, well, why is the show crap? We had a whole week to produce. No, we didn't have a whole week to produce it. Vince nixed it 15 minutes out. We had 15 minutes to put 3 hours of TV together. Yeah, it's going to suck. The regime now ain't doing that, and we're getting good TV again.
So let's drive it and look at this way now. And I mean this with all due respect. Tony Khan ever demonstrated anything remotely close to what Vince McMahon Jr. brought to the game?
Once, when he decided to start AEW.
Okay.
That was the one time where he had a stroke of genius, like, I got the right group of guys. There's a desire for it. There's a want for it. The appetite is there. Again, what we say, the demand is there. Let's fill it with some supply. That was the first time. From then on, when he had his team, when he had the Bucks and Kenny and Cody and all of them were kind of working together, and they were letting the guys bring their own stories in. It was different. It was, and it wasn't traditional. It wasn't what we were used to, but that's what made it interesting because WWE had gotten so stale 5 years ago that nobody was thirsting for it anymore. We were just kind of drinking it because it was all we had. Right. But, when AEW came in and they put a little seltzer in there and you said, well, wait a minute, this got a whole new taste to it. Let's try it out. It was great for a while. But like you said, when you take the heart out of it, I dare say the brains went with it. So, when you take the heart and the brain out of it, and now you're just left with a skeleton, Now it's like, yeah, we got wrestling. It's still happening, but what the hell are we dealing with right now?
So they've tried to do their heart transplant. You've tried.
Bret Hart?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
So they've tried, though, because, I mean, when you look at what John Moxley was really set up to be, right? Mm-hmm. John Moxley was set up to be, if not the next go-to guy, he was made out to be the savior, because anytime anything went wrong, who did they call on to come in and save the day? Yeah. John Moxley.
Well, because they let Cody go.
Right. Then you've tried Bryan Danielson, or as we've lovingly termed him on this show, Brides.
Absolutely.
So you've had Bryanson come in, and he's a hell of a guy, hell of a work ethic, hell of a wrestler.
Hell of a mind. I mean, well, except that mind's been jumbled around a lot.
And his body's breaking down, and he's gone SAWFT in his old age. And he's got kids.
He just turned 40, and he's his old age.
He done turned into Heath Slater. He's got kids.
Yeah. He's got a wife. I mean, Brie Bryanson.
Brie Bryanson.
You know, that's his wife, Brie Bryanson.
You know, Swerve Bryanson. Well,
I mean, you see they got out of that whole angle right away.
Real quick.
We ain't saw hide nor hair.
Look, Swerve. We ain't mad at you, bro.
No, I mean, hell, what is if you're gonna swing, shoot for the fences, right? Hell, you know, I mean, and we've talked about this on the show before. You could do rats or you could do queens. I mean, you know, so start at the top, work your way down.
It's it. But what I think the point that I'm trying to get across is WWE effectively made that transition, whereas when Cody left, I have not effectively seen that transition in AEW. They've had all of the pieces of the puzzle, they just never can put the puzzle together.
So again, when you've only got one puppet master, and until he's willing to share that responsibility, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Tony Khan right now is Vince 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, when they first started 5 years ago, he was Vince 87. He was WrestleMania 3 Vince. And we were like, damn, this dude can't. I mean, he had the Midas touch. Everything he touched wrestling base turned to gold. He was making the right signings. He was bringing the right ex-WWE people in. The stories were interesting, but it was all brand new. And a lot of people warned on that. They said, you know, it's a shiny new toy. And you know what happens on Christmas morning? Every Christmas, kid picks up all the new toys and says, damn, this is the toy I wanted forever. I've been waiting for this toy all my life. Well, eventually that toy breaks, and then you go back to Old Faithful that you've been carrying around for umpteen years, and you say, hey, you know, this toy's always lasted me from day one to now. All that new stuff done cracked and broke, but this toy has always been my go, like Linus in the blanket, for Lord's sake. They held on to, and that's where we're at with WWE now. We're at the point of Tony Khan is now Vince 2018, and WWE don't have a Vince no more. So WWE's that shiny new toy now.
Let's put this into a quick analogy to wrap up this part of the conversation, though. There is a match coming up that some have been clamoring for over 15 years. I'm going to tell you the match, and then I want you to give me your honest response.
Okay.
Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
See?
It's going to happen.
And that is the problem.
Yeah, because most fans that are watching have no understanding of the backstory.
They don't know the Ring of Honor battles. They don't know any of
15, 20 years ago when all that.
Yep.
So, I mean, and we always talk about AEW's base fan, right?
Yep.
Their base fan is the ones that watch every week, 600, 700, 800,000, right? Out of that 6, 7, 800,000, probably only two know the full backstory of, and I don't mean two people, I mean 200,000, probably know the backstory of Bryanson and Nigel McGuinness, or Desmond Wolfe, as I would remember him as.
Right.
But that's a quarter of your audience that understands the significance behind the story. The other 3/4 of it are just like, okay, dude's been retired. He's been an announcer forever. Why is he wrestling Bryanson right now? And they've got the footage to explain it. There's no good reason not to explain it.
Right. So to the wrestling fan out there that's listening to the podcast, I'm not talking to the WWE fanboy. I'm not talking to the AEW fanboy. I'm talking about to the pro wrestling fan.
The purist.
You guys know where we're coming from with this. Nobody's trying to bag on AEW. Well,
I mean, AEW bags on itself.
We're not
right. We're not doing anything but pointing out the
preaching
facts.
the truth as the preacher would do from the pulpit. That's all we're doing.
We're just pointing out the facts as they sit. Now, granted, we may have a biased opinion because it's not our cup of tea, right?
Right.
And again, AEW does have its strong subset of fans where it is their cup of tea. There's guys out there right now podcasting just like we are who spend their 40, 50 minutes a week saying how good AEW is, and damn it, they love every episode and on par. I mean, hell, Meltzer's writing,
5-star in the Tokyo Dome.
Exactly. He's writing some column right now for whatever website he's dealing with right now saying how AEW's top tier wrestling.
But if that's your cup of tea, okay, that's your cup of tea.
Exactly.
And that's all well and good, because as the Bookers Alliance, we're never going to come after you for your fandom and what you do. That's not what we are. It's not what we're about. We're about the celebration of the sport of professional wrestling, because as a kid, it drew both of us into a world where anything was possible.
And everything was possible. I mean, you saw men slam giants, and you saw boxers fight. You saw worlds collide. You saw NFL football players wrestling. You saw things that you never would see anywhere, because you never saw football players in shorts and trunks and all that, boxing and fighting with each other until wrestling put it out there.
As we wrap up our show, though, let's bring to the front though of why this is a passion and a love for us. What draws us into this? It's the stories. It's the combat sports of it. It's the spectacle of it.
It's the whole presentation.
It's everything.
The whole kit and caboodle, as they would call it.
I watched UFC 306 Saturday night, UFC Noche. I watched that live from the Sphere. That was an amazing.
You were in the Sphere without me? Dude, you can't travel without me, dude. You got to tell me, man.
Bro, you were busy.
I didn't want to see it, but I wanted to go to Vegas. Good Lord.
So listen, just the spectacle of it, everything about it. Yes, it was combat sports. But the fact that somebody like Dana White, as an owner of, that company, what he decided to do, that was his love letter to Mexican combat sports. And I applaud him for what he did. You know why? Because at the end of the day, he's a fan.
Exactly.
He gets it. And he gets it to the point where he doesn't have to revolve the story around his product, but he's got to be in tune with it enough to know what the fans want to see to make the matches that he's making, right?
You put a trash card out there. I don't care how over UFC is. A trash card ain't drawing no viewers, right? So you got to know where your bread's buttered.
Yep. So, as we bring this episode to a close, this was episode 100. And I hope you guys listening to this episode get some inside, behind the scenes, behind the curtain, if you will, about why me and old Frank here love what we do. It's everything about this to us. We're fans at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, tried and true.
It's special to us.
Absolutely.
It's almost as if, there's some instances where you're so hyped up to a match, it's like going to church.
Yep. And I mean, and we want to send a thank you out to you guys, because all of you, loyal listeners, apparently you guys get fired up when you turn on the Bookers Alliance. We got our little entrance theme and all that. Be in the car if you be jamming with us and you're like, oh, I know these guys are going to give me some laughs and give us some fun. We appreciate y'all for that too, because y'all are fans of us and we're fans of wrestling.
Absolutely. And with that, sir, we'll add one more cheers to close out this episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our podcast. Reach out on our social media platforms. And with that, we bid you adieu.
See you for 100 more.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.